Hello and welcome to the Nattercast for Game of Thrones, episode 405, The First of His Name, directed by Michelle McLaren. I am Jason Shankle of Shankle Studios, and I am here with the Small Council. Say hello, Small Council.
Hello.
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 And our Master of Wine, Alan, is on assignment tonight, so we are here with a short call to natter at you about the fifth episode of the fourth season, entitled "First of His Name." Before we get into our recaps and whatnot, I'll give you our contact information. We are the Nattercast. We are available at www.nattercast.com. We're also on iTunes. We'd really appreciate it if you're listening to us on iTunes or Castroller or anything like that you would give us a nice thumbs up or a 5-star rating or a little review would even be great. But where the party really is for us is on Facebook, as always. If you come to Facebook and search for us, you will find a page and a group. If you could like the page and come join the group, we discuss all kinds of shows. We're doing Game of Thrones. We're going to be doing Sons of Anarchy later. We got True Detective in there, Mad Men, and all kinds of wonderful craziness. But tonight we're going to be talking about Game of Thrones. I got one more shout out because I was completely remiss last week, and I want to make sure I get this and don't let it slip. We had a wonderful debate around the table about potatoes in Westeros, and whether we could believe that potatoes would exist in Westeros while dragons and zombies do, but not potatoes. And that had come to us from one of our contributors who has listened to another podcast, and I had failed to get it. And it is called The Vassals of Kingsgrave, and I checked them out. You should Google for them, and you'll find them. And I got to give them a shout out because I like to say that the Nattercast is the people's cast because everyone comes to Facebook and talks about whatever they want. But these guys are putting their money where my mouth is. Because their format is really, really something special. I listened to a little bit of it. You can record a podcast and give it to them, and as long as you do their format, they'll publish you. Wow. So they're like publishing other people as well.
I heard most of one episode.
Yeah. So it's a fun new way. If you are interested in getting to the podcasting game, we are open. If you want to send us something, we might publish it. We don't have a format for you, but these guys, this is their wheelhouse. So I would recommend heading over there if you want to get into the podcasting game. If you all think it's so easy to entertain the internet masses, you try it, buddy. over at the Vassals of Kingsgrave. Okay, so that's that. Before we get started, is anybody wants to say about the episode, how we felt about it? Had a Michelle McLaren twofer? General impressions? Start with Molly. Let's go around the table.
I liked it. I thought it was really a good episode. Overall. Yeah.
Parts I liked, parts I didn't like.
A little mixed bag for you?
Yeah. It was funny when they first opened up on the Dany scene with her small council, just the way, the fakeness of the set, and it was just like, oh man, the show's going to hell, was my thought. But then, of course, they reeled me back in with the Craster's Keep and the action and the sword fights, and that was all good.
Danny's been very much on the holodeck in these last couple episodes, for sure.
Yeah. It's becoming harder to stay invested in certain storylines that aren't really moving.
Yeah. Definitely.
It's probably an easier way to say it.
Or you don't see, like, Dany's having her own movie.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like it's not connected to the rest of the story.
Right.
How'd you feel about it?
I liked it a lot. We've been going to our friend Malik's house, and he's been auditioning new expensive televisions.
Yes. He got like a new television every week. He's like, I might keep this one. What do you guys think of this one?
If he's returning them at Costco, let me know. Because I went to with my boyfriend, and apparently we learned that the TVs that are returned one day are put on the floor the next day for half to less than half off.
Whoa.
Right.
Oh.
So he got a $500-something TV for $170.
Holy cow!
I like the one that he's given back.
Okay, so
go early mornings and look for the flatbed.
You've got an account. We've got an account. So you're going to buy it, return it, and I'm going to come swooping in, and then I'll buy one later and return it. You can come swooping in. Molly, this is going to be awesome.
Awesome.
Can we do it with cars?
You get a greater discount if the box is opened. If the box is still sealed,
right?
So you got to open.
Oh no, he's got these out.
These are out. He's trying them out.
Oh yeah,
you're playing them both soon.
Oh yeah. Find out when he's going to return it and where.
Yeah.
You do the same thing at Best Buy.
Yeah. What were your impressions of the show, though, Shane?
I kind of have similar problems that Danielle has. Look, we all know people are going to die, which means storylines die or change or morph. And I feel like they're setting up, the last few episodes, they've been moving pieces around to set up the decks for the next major arcs. And that isn't always the sexiest or the most interesting, and there's no guarantee that you're going to care. And so there's a little bit of blind faith that you have to give when they reset things. Like, I really could care less about the mutineers at Craster's Keep.
Yeah.
I've been very vocal on the Face group about how I don't see how anyone gives a shit about Bran and Jojen and that whole arc. And the trouble is when the show starts to fill up with arcs that you don't care about. I mean, really, do we really care about Dany's, ability to lead in Slaver's Bay? No.
I do. It's my own personal thing.
I can see how that would be.
I want to see what she's going to do.
But we don't know Slaver's Bay that well.
Right.
It'd be different if it was Winterfell, right?
That's right. But I mean, there's a whole bunch of those things, and it feels like those things outweigh the things I really care about. Arya and the Hound, Brienne and Podrick, even King's Landing in episodes, get shortchanged. And so it's like, give me 5 more minutes of Elena and just skip Jojen and Bran, But I know how they all dovetail and everything, and they've got all kinds of weird stuff about, contracts. I mean, that's why we got, 90% more Theon than we needed last season.
Right.
And,
Well, good thing they cut the 10% off.
Exactly.
Oh, Danielle.
Ouch.
Danielle just won the podcast internet tonight.
There's our laugh spike.
You actually beat me to my own setup. I mean, that's totally sad. But anyways,
Great minds think alike.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I mean, that in that regard, the show is can really feel stally in chunks, and it's only through the skilled hands of people like Michelle McLaren that I think we stay interested and maintained.
Yeah.
Through it. So that's my 2 cents.
Yeah.
I
go ahead. Agree. But sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to say, one thing that I think could have made this better, this season better, is if they had done it similar to the last 8 episodes of Walking Dead, where we only saw a couple of groups
on the road.
And we spent a lot of time.
Yeah.
And maybe, this week we don't even see Rick's group at all.
Right.
We're only seeing this group and that group, so we get a lot more time and we get more involved in the storyline because there's more plot for each.
Right, and especially Walking Dead being such an even show, the last 8 episodes were brilliantly constructed. It was it's like, where have you been for all these seasons? This is a great way to do things, because you will see, you're with one group and you see like a fire that the other group started.
Right.
And you see evidence on the track that somebody else left, and it tied together so well.
Right.
And Michelle McLaren directed some of it.
Right.
And so, I think with so many characters on the road that it could have used a little bit of that Walking Dead. And I think that's part of what they're doing with Bran too, is connecting him to Jon. It's not a spoiler, I guess to say he doesn't get as close to Jon as he does in the book. Or here, he got closer here than he does in the book.
Right.
Because I think of that. It's like, we got to hook him up to the story.
Right.
Yeah, maybe they should put some more energy into tying some of these stories together and less on the raping.
We'll get to the raping later on. By they, you mean George Martin.
Yeah, well, George Martin, it sounds like some of this has to be laid at the feet of the producers.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, certainly some of the depiction, but the meandering story, no, it's all Martin. They're doing the best as they can.
And then there's certain characters we're totally forgetting about. Like, we still haven't seen Asha Greyjoy.
Yeah, what's Yara?
Yara, sorry.
Excuse me.
We're
Yara.
5 episodes in and we haven't seen anything.
Where's the big Theon rescue?
She's on the previews for next week, though.
Oh, is she?
Ooh.
Yes.
Finally,
Yes,
because
good.
I was kind of hoping she'd get beat.
Because, I mean, by the time she shows up again, people aren't going to remember who she is because there's so many characters.
Oh, they'll do the previously.
Right.
Yeah.
Of course.
Come on. Like, the internet doesn't.
Right.
Well, we had some feedback from people on what they thought about it.
Yeah, we have some great stuff here. because we have such a party going on in our little group. So first, Jay Greenspan. First of his name for me will go on the short list of great episodes in recent TV history. I am not going to take the time to assemble the list, but I'm pretty sure that Michelle MacLaren is responsible for directing 2 others on the list, 1 Minute and Tahajuli from Breaking Bad. Oh,
Tahajuli.
thank you. No, I see what he's doing.
Yeah.
Okay. The combination of poignancy, identifiable theme, plot development, craziness, action, and humor made this an almost perfect episode.
Well.
There's so much to discuss. I could write a bit of a dissertation, but I don't have the time. So I'll limit my statements of admiration to a couple of points. Lena Headey is unbelievable here. Her performance here allows you to feel sympathy for a prime candidate for worst person in Westeros. Pod Brienne, doing a version of Hope Crosby, provides some sweetness and humor that is a real relief while watching. Hey, look, 2 fully decent characters sharing a scene.
Yes. Yeah, totally.
Finally, I was happy to see the direwolf getting revenge. Yes. And Von Carl Brown. Maybe I'm overthinking things. Thanks, Nattercast. But this season seems more uneven to me. Kind of get the feeling we're going nowhere fast. Maybe my expectations are too high now, but I'm ready for some leaps and bounds. Anyway, still better than most shows, but it may have lost a bit of the luster. Bring me back to Glory Writers. Katrina McDowell. Number 1, if you're going to play the game of Thrones, play it like Littlefinger. Number 2, Hodor is the true breaker of chains. Number 3, Arya is going to need a bigger sword.
Yes.
Indeed.
Number 4, the loss of a loved child can bear of the soul of even the most cold-hearted and ruthless. 5, Danny finally realizes that there are consequences to her actions and makes the right decision. 6, Ghost! 7, Sansa is screwed. I am donating to the Rescue Sansa Fund. 8, Jon Snow still knows nothing, but is damn good with that sword.
Oh, yeah.
9, always defuzz your rabbit before cooking.
Yeah.
That was hysterical.
Oh,
I love the rabbit.
That was so good.
I love her just going, you didn't cook for, she just drops all this, the sticks.
You've given me that look when we
Yeah.
do chores sometimes.
Yes.
We definitely have a Pod and Brienne thing that happens
Yes.
when it comes to cleaning.
It's
the
getting
kitchen
better.
and whatnot.
But, yeah.
Well, it's okay. I'm Brienne when we have to do paperwork, so that's the way that it works.
That's true.
Yeah.
There you go.
I'm not sure what I am. Yeah, okay. Pod looks graceful compared to how I am when it comes to paperwork. Jackie Burgett. What did Littlefinger do to make Lyssa Arryn squeal like a pig? He must have read 50 Shades of Grey Worm.
Ew.
I thought that was really good.
Oh, that's very clever, but I'm just. Ew.
And somebody new, Naomi Key. I liked this episode. It seemed everyone was having to be first of their name and make a choice, or not, about their new role. Bran chose his three-eyed vision quest over his family, and Hodor didn't get to choose whether he became a murderer. Dany chose to rule Slaver Bay rather than conquer. Arya is choosing her identity as a killer rather than a highborn daughter. Cersei is choosing to be a submissive daughter and wife to save her family, whilst giving her daughter the metaphor of freedom and escape which she lacks. Pod is choosing the true life of a squire for the first time, and Sansa, it seems she has no different role other than as a political pawn in a marriage bed. She thought she had chosen safety, but it seems she has chosen servitude and imprisonment again. Cersei said that the life is awful for little girls everywhere. I like the way that caster wives and daughters who live that maxim chose to live a different kind of life than the male-dependent rescue which Jon offered.
Interesting.
And Katrina McDowell. So another great episode, another revelation for non-readers. The great evil puppeteer, a.k.a. Littlefinger, had his former lover, Lysa Tully Arryn, poison her husband, the Hand of the King. Jon Arryn, and write to his sister Catelyn Stark, throwing suspicion on the Lannisters. They set this whole thing in motion.
That's right.
Jon's death, Robert's trip to Winterfell, Bronn's fate, Ned to King's Landing, and Jon Snow to the Wall. And now Littlefinger has Sansa tucked away in the unreachable, impenetrable fortress of the Vale. Brianna's going to need a cape and a unitard instead of that armor.
You know,
And Bran wouldn't be paralyzed either.
There's been a lot of debate on the various parts of the net as to how much of this was part of Littlefinger's plan. Was it just to get rid of Jon Arryn so he can get Cat back through some Ned, thing? Or was it the whole war and the whole destruction of everything? And I just picture him as Inspector Clouseau, like in a room with kind of a Rube Goldberg arrangement of glassware and stuff like that, and he pulls the one candy out, and the whole thing just comes crashing down on him. That's kind of my interpretation of the Littlefinger bit. So, all right, well, let's get into the recap then. So we have we're starting off with Miss Molly with all things Cersei and Sansa and salsa and salsa. Are you,
Oh, I thought you were going to play a clip. Sorry.
we have to get better with this clip thing. We're just learning. Everybody has to bear
Oh,
with
they're
us.
fun.
So,
would you like your audio clip?
Ma'am.
The first one, yes, with Cersei and Marjorie.
Yeah, okay.
That one was so awesome.
That
Yes, it
was
was.
pretty awesome. All right, here it comes. Bear with me. And rolling, and here it goes.
You still mourn for Joffrey? He was my husband, my king. He would have been your nightmare. Your Grace, I feel you knew exactly what he was. I did too. You never love anything in the world the way you love your first child. Doesn't matter what they do. And what he did, it shocked me. Do you think I'm easily shocked? No. The things he did shocked me.
Little truth in Cersei.
Well, truth is Cersei.
It's interesting to me that she has this conversation, first of all, because she was the only other one at the wedding enjoying all of Joffrey's pranks.
Right.
And
That was less shocking than a lot of stuff he's done.
True.
That was actually Joffrey on his best behavior.
it was, but it's still she was always his biggest defender.
Right.
And for her to say things like that to Marjorie, who we know she hates.
Right.
It's interesting to me, and I kind of wonder a little bit what she's playing at, and a little bit is this actually a little bit more truthful?
I was actually very relieved by this scene. So I love the coronation bomb.
Oh yes, that was so awesome. I was gonna get to that, but we started off with Joffrey, so
Right.
Coronation bomb. What am I missing?
Oh, the blocking.
So
that was so great.
It was beautiful. So we have an eye line between Marjorie and Tommen.
Oh, right.
Right,
Yeah.
and then
Then all of a
Cersei
sudden,
just
Cersei-
her torso.
Oh, yes,
just-
that was awesome.
She just photobombed it.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, it's so
and
good.
I had
And the
Shot
look on
so
her
well.
face, too. Just that
And
piercing
she's just
look.
looking straight at Marjorie from a
Yeah.
distance.
I was ready to be very bored at this scene. It's like, here comes more nasty Cersei telling Marjorie she's going to cut her open and feed her to the fish or whatever. And then she turned out to be, she started to be reasonable.
Mm-hmm.
Clearly for her own reasons and all kinds of craziness, but it was a nice change of pace.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. The other thing that was interesting, they start talking about Tommen and how, he might actually be a decent king, and Cersei goes, who was the last decent king?
Yeah.
I think that's a question that a lot of people would like to know.
That would take a while to figure out.
Yeah.
Who came before
Ares.
Ares?
Yeah.
It was Targaryens for a
It was
long
all
time.
Targaryens forever, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there was only
Yeah.
one that was crazy.
And it's a flip of a coin whether they're good or bad, right?
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah.
Like the Claudians.
This scene was really. I think a lot of people had trouble actually parsing what's happening in this scene. I listened to a bunch of casts this week, and most people were like, exactly what is happening here? They're both performing for each other. And so the truth is impossible to really put your finger on. You're reading every single sentence they're saying, going, okay, is that real? Does she really think that? And ultimately, it tells you very little, I think, other than the one really nice moment that, where Cersei says, every the whole world, what's the world, girls are,
the
yeah.
whole world hurts little girls.
Yeah, but
right.
that's not in this scene.
No.
But that's the only truth that's really spoken.
Right.
I think that she lost her son, and she realizes that to preserve her remaining children's lives, she has to invest in her father's worldview and in the family, and that means the Tyrells and Marjorie. Marjorie is an important part of making sure that Tommen is a good king and stays alive.
Yeah.
And that the Lannisters are funded and allied.
Right. Yeah.
So she is investing in the idea of preserving the family now because she sees what happens if you try to be on your own.
Right. And for me, the scene, on the face of it, didn't have, there wasn't a lot of emotion. There was, they were talking very quietly, but there's a lot of subtext going on. Marjorie, as Shane said, there's all this political stuff and everybody is not quite on the level. Marjorie's kind of lying about, I haven't even thought about being queen.
Right.
What comes next?
And whatever shall I call you?
And Cersei gets in a little eye roll. She's really trying to play the politico, but she still gets in that eye roll. It's like, I just hate this woman. So, and I think you're exactly right. She is having to play that political card because she's now realized how powerless she really is.
Yeah. Without her family.
Without her family, exactly. And that was an interesting. That made it an interesting scene for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything else?
I thought it was kind of interesting in the distance, like when they were sitting there talking on that terrace. You saw Emma Peel. You saw her and she was walking across in front of the throne down the stairs like she was just wandering.
Well, everybody was going up, giving their regards to Tommen.
She just was marching around doing whatever the hell she wanted.
Yeah.
It was great.
Yeah.
There was some discussion about her and why did she have to put the poison on Sansa? Doesn't that make it a whole lot more complicated? She wasn't going to be frisked. There's no TSA. Just bring the poison in your purse. And the answer to that is, that's what should have happened. It's really stupid.
A lot of moving parts.
Yeah.
Too many moving parts.
Too many moving parts and too many chances of getting caught. And what if Sansa didn't wear it to the wedding? And what if she gave it to a handmaiden?
Yeah.
It immediately reminded me of Sons of Anarchy, Bobby, Tell, and Jax. It's a whole lot of moves.
It's a whole lot of moves. It's a whole
lot of lies.
And it's one of those things that reads better than plays. But just got to go with it.
Well, the one thing I didn't hear many people talk about this week was I think Cersei could be just reeling out a hook to Marjorie's dad here, who happens to be one of the 3 jurors, right?
Yes, of course. Yeah, no, that's a part of it as well. She's securing her allegiances.
Right.
Yeah, you'll get your queenship if I get my vote.
But if you think about it, she did reach out to the other 2 judges.
Yes.
And maybe this one she's doing by proxy.
Yeah.
Exactly. This is, to me, the only way she could legit get there. And and Marjorie says at the end, let me go ask my dad.
Right.
So to me, she could easily just rescind all of this good, quote unquote, goodwill or faux goodwill. That could all be just a nice temporary gain in service of the trial that's a fortnight away.
I think there's something to that. I think if she doesn't get a conviction on Tyrion, she will lose faith in this power. I think it's both, right? It's like if she doesn't get her conviction, then fuck the family. It can't do anything for me. It can't even convict my brother.
Right.
So I think she would lose faith in this plan if she doesn't get what she wants. So I think there's a mix of that, sure.
Okay, so how do we want to do the rest of this? Since I have Cersei and Sansa, and they kind of intermix in the show.
Whichever way you'd like to do it.
So I just have my notes as they happened in the show because I was watching the show.
That's cool. Yeah.
Keep it chronological.
So you want to do your Sansa?
I call it Sansa at Arkham Asylum.
That's good.
Yeah.
So Cole, do you want Baelish and Lysa, or do you want Lysa and Sansa?
Baelish.
Baelish. Okay. So here it comes.
Let's get married tonight.
Ought we not inform the Lords of the Vale about the ceremony?
There's only one Lord of the Vale. The others can all hang, lurking and simpering on the stairs like buzzards the moment my husband died, trying to get their claws in me.
I do think that we could wait until...
I'm done waiting, Peter. We had a wedding night many years ago. Don't you remember?
Like it was yesterday.
What wife would do for you the things I've done for you? What wife would trust you the way I've trusted you? You gave me those drops and told me to pour them into John's wine, my husband's wine. When you told me to write a letter to Kat, telling her it was a Lannister.
Anything to shut her up.
Right.
She is naughty.
Oh, she's a bad girl.
The deed is done. Faded into nothing. Only speaking of it can make it real.
Dang.
So
they're
I want
bad
to point out that
people.
this is the healthiest sexual relationship on the show. It's technically mutually consensual,
Technically, yes.
and certainly enthusiastic, at least on one side.
Yeah. So this is. I tell you, this whole thing. It was like going up the road, and all the soldiers with their arrows drawn, and then coming up to the gate, and so you really get this impression that you're just walking into
Right.
a cave almost, and then you see that crazy castle up on top
And
of
then we have
the
to-
archway, and
Yeah. We have to hide this 6-foot tall 14-year-old girl
yeah,
with like distinctive red hair.
Yeah.
Just,
so she is in a safe place, but I think what's on the inside of that castle might be worse than what's on the outside. Robin is such a little brat, and all the revelations, like we just heard, it's like these two have been kind of plotting civil war for, or like you were saying before, where it's, even if it was just to get one piece of it, the whole thing coming around.
yeah. Littlefinger's behind the entire plot.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it was interesting because they say this, and last week it was I want everything, and it all kind of ties together that he does want everything, and he's willing to do anything to get it.
Right.
There was some interesting subtext in their little discussion there. It's like if you remember back to Littlefinger's classic chaos is a ladder speech. There's a part in there where he says the realm is the 1,000 blades of Aegon's enemies, a story we agreed to tell each other over and over till we forget that it's a lie.
Right.
That part is echoed here so perfectly.
Yeah.
And I don't know about you guys, but they give Littlefinger a lot of very meta kind of quotes that are the theme. They're almost I'm spelling out the theme for you.
Right.
And, but they never really seem to hit or land the way they're supposed to for me.
It's like Matthew McConaughey.
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
Is a flat circle.
Well, he's just like, one man can be worth 10,000. That's supposed to be a powerful line, but it just seems like I don't know. He doesn't really connect with me. Does he connect with you guys? I mean, other than
would I watch the Peter Baelish show? Probably not.
No.
Right, and
No.
and this series looks like it's heading that way.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I enjoy Varys a loth more. He's in a similar position.
And
much better
where's
character.
Varys?
Yeah, he's
Well,
just
he's coming. He's coming.
for now. Yeah, but
He beats feet when the king gets killed.
as most would.
Right.
And the last thing I have to say about this is Sansa's room looks like the Westerosi Econo Lodge.
It totally does.
I was like, the only one who has worse accommodations right now in highborn people is probably Tyrion.
Right.
Tommen is having a rough time.
Well,
it
yeah.
does. It looks a bit like some, North Californian winter coastal foggy. Yeah.
It looks like if you go on a wine tasting trip in Sonoma.
A cheap ass one in
to
1940.
Cheap ass Plaster Castle brand wine.
Oh my gosh.
Well, you really got us going there. You can't give a juicy image to the Shankles and not expect it to be completely smashed like grapes, smeared around.
As long as it gets to ferment and
Yeah, exactly.
beautiful wine.
They didn't even give her earbuds or anything.
No.
Yeah, really.
Just an iPad. Oh my god.
In the book, Lysa's pretty insatiable. It's like every 5 minutes.
Oh.
Like all
Ew.
day. Yeah, it's not just like one thing you have to like sit through at night. It's like hours and hours
Oh my
and
gosh.
hours of yelling.
Oh,
Wow.
I have met people like that before.
Wow.
Yeah.
Women, it's women.
Yeah.
They're intense.
There are women like that, and do they really think men enjoy that?
Men do.
And they believe it?
Men plural.
Plural.
These are women that need more than one man.
Sadly, not Peter Baelish though. He's really working for that money.
Oh, wow.
If his whole plan got him here, wow.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
wow, Peter. You burned down the whole world for Lysa Arryn.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
I wonder,
maybe
wonder-
chaos is a pit. Ugh.
Seriously.
I wonder how long it is before she ingests some poison. Anyway, moving on.
Moving on.
The next scene with one of these two wonderful women is Cersei and Tywin.
Oh, Cersei and Tywin. That's awesome.
Yeah,
Okay, let me get you set up here.
They always have such warm, heartfelt.
Oh, yeah.
indeed.
You're such a wise
Conversations.
father.
And her devotion is so complete.
Do you know how much gold was mined in the Westerlands this past year?
Haven't a clue.
Go on, your best guess.
Pounds, tons, ounces.
Doesn't matter, the answer's the same.
It can't be.
Our last working mine ran dry 3 years ago.
Then how do we pay for anything?
The Crown owes the Iron Bank of Bravos a tremendous amount of money.
How much?
A tremendous amount.
There must be someone at the Iron Bank you can speak to, come to some arrangement.
The Iron Bank is the Iron Bank. There is no someone.
But someone does work there. It is comprised of people.
And a temple is comprised of stones. One stone crumbles and another takes its place. And the temple holds its form for 1,000 years or more. And that's what the Iron Bank is, a temple. We all live in its shadow, and almost none of us know it. You can't run from them, you can't cheat them, you can't sway them with excuses. If you owe them money and you don't want to crumble yourself, you pay it back. Vesting the Tyrells in the Crown will help a great deal in this respect.
All right.
Yeah.
Another
that-
major plot point.
Absolutely. And this opened with the wedding discussions, which I just loved.
Yes.
It's like, no 77-course meals with jousting dwarves? I can't imagine why. Wow.
That was awesome. No jousting dwarves, no 77 course.
Yeah, but apparently there's going to be a lot of little weddings, and everybody's going to get married between the Lannisters and the Tyrells. So,
You'd think if Cersei realizes that she's probably better off being married than not, although she's always said she doesn't want to get married again.
right.
Loras is actually the best choice
Yeah,
of everyone we know,
at least-
because he's good and gay.
Yeah, and he won't want to
Good.
touch her.
Good and gay, and she's got plenty of legitimate heirs to the throne.
Yeah.
So.
And we already know she doesn't need a husband to actually get pregnant.
Right, exactly. She just needs a cousin or a brother.
Yeah, yeah.
She could be pregnant for all we know.
That's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I liked about this scene is just that it was probably about the most direct communication we've had between these two.
Absolutely.
Most of the time, I mean, the reason why I think I love people like Varys so much is that unless he's pulling a castrating wizard out of a crate, there's there's no monologuing. The guy's direct. He's actually talking. And it's like, why couldn't Tywin just said like, no money, no problems. I mean, it's that simple, honey. Get married, shut up, and do your business. I mean, some of that, I really get frustrated, but that's what I loved about this, and I can't still get enough of Tywin.
I know.
I mean,
he's so good.
Damn, he's good.
Yeah, Tywin's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I also love the part where they were talking about how neither of them trusted Robert Baratheon.
Right.
Yeah.
So all these little things come percolating out this episode that you kind of suspected or you maybe didn't even know about, but lots of insights this week.
Unburying a lot of little secrets.
Yeah.
I just love the head nod, her eyes, when she left Tywin at the very end.
Yeah.
Just her expression and her kind of head nod, and it was perfect.
Yeah, that whole, I'm not going to talk to you about the case against Tyrion, but
right.
I'm going to say this thing.
It was a really good week on TV for eye lines. There was a lot of scathing eye lines in this show.
Oh, Mad Men.
But the one in Mad Men, not to go off topic, Don Draper gives Peggy a look that could freeze pressed stone. It could just it could just solidify it into diamond.
She's been acting
with the coldness of the hate that came out.
Wow.
Yeah.
It was great.
We got some of those in this episode as well.
Yeah.
Why do we think Cersei is so hell-bent on Tyrion? I mean, I just don't get that. I mean, I just don't like the little guy, or I don't think the guy is really, on the Lannister team. So, we could shun him, but that's not really going to do...
I think the biggest thing is that Tyrion abused and disrespected her son.
Yeah.
And then...
I think it's she cannot control him, and he is an eyesore.
Mm-hmm.
She's embarrassed. She's really into stature and how things look, and
he's an eyesore, and he's a hedonistic.
He's not cool.
Alcoholic.
He's not cool because he's a dwarf. She's got some bigotry around that, but also she can't control him.
Right.
He sees through her shit.
Yeah, and he sees through her shit, and that she can't afford that.
And this is
that's a little power.
Excellent opportunity to get him out of the way legitimately.
Yeah.
Right.
And she just thinks he's a freak. She's tortured him since he was in the crib.
Right.
Right. I think that the best moment they shared was, I think it was in the first season, where he says, "You love your children. That's your best feature. That and your cheekbones."
Yep.
Yeah.
Right.
That was like the closest moment between them in the entire show, and it felt like a real reach out from Tyrion, saying, "I'm in this position. I have this job. I have to work for your son, and I have to train him. So, help me."
Right.
And the answer is no. It's a closed door. Don't know. She got a hard on for him.
Don't you get the sense that, like, every time she walks into a room, these days everybody's like, yeah, you want to kill Tyrion. You want Tyrion dead. Okay.
I think she also resents that Jaime befriended Tyrion.
Yeah.
After the horrible thing that he did to him,
Right.
they made up and have been close, and she doesn't want anybody else close to Jaime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that or Tyrion could convince Jaime that, whatever he wants to convince her of about seeing through the bullshit, I mean, it's about control. I think you're absolutely right.
No, and I mean, Tyrion is like just a constant reminder, she doesn't have the control of a man. She doesn't even have the stature of a dwarf man.
True.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's just constant disgust.
Right.
Yeah.
This person is in line ahead of me.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
No matter what I do, he's in line ahead.
And him being so intelligent. Where Jaime, I mean, he's not like Jaime's dumb,
Yeah.
but he's her puppet, or has been until now.
Right.
Well, and realistically, and maybe she just didn't know how Tywin would feel about it, but Tyrion was supposed to be the heir. I mean, he's the second son, but Jaime is sworn off.
Right.
So he's now effectively the first son.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And there you go.
Okay.
Oh, also, everybody blames him for killing the mother.
Right.
It's like, you killed my mother. I think I think that's the biggest gut punch for her.
Right.
You killed my mother.
Right.
Well, and I think we saw a bit of it in the Oberon scene. that she's still bitter about him sending off Marcella.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, but she hated him way before that.
Yeah.
No, I know, but it's just like recency, icing on the cake kind of thing.
Right.
I mean, especially now that Joff's gone.
How she can't realize that she was literally sitting on the Iron Throne about to poison Tommen and kill herself while every woman in the city got raped. How she can blame Tyrion for sending her daughter away from that.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't understand.
Right. Not to mention, it's because of Tyrion that she's even walking around. I mean, that's what she just doesn't strike me as somebody as shrewd and calculating that as she is. She's completely without reason.
Often you see her prejudices and her cynicism just rule her.
I don't think she's that shrewd and calculating.
No,
I think she just.
I think she thinks she is.
Yes. I think she indulges her whims.
Yes,
she's,
and is just in a position.
And manipulative.
She's not very strategic.
Nobody with a strategic mindset ends up married to Robert Baratheon.
Not if they have any choice.
But the point is, she does not as manipulative and controlling as she makes herself out to be.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Yeah. So, all right.
Okay, so jumping back over to the Sansa craziness, we have Sansa and Lysa.
I like how we're doing this back and forth. The Cersei, Sansa.
Yeah.
All right. So Sansa and Lysa.
He's so kind. He really cares for you. Think where you'd be without him. In their clutches and trial for murder.
Yes, I'm very lucky.
He feels responsible for you.
Oh, I know he does. I'm so grateful.
Why? Why does he feel responsible for you?
Well, I'm half Tully. He loved your family so much.
Loved your mother?
No.
That's what you wanted to say.
He loves you, Aunt Lysa. He's married
your
to
mother
you.
Never loved him, never. Cat always went straight for the sweetest thing, the most obvious thing. Your Uncle Brandon. Your handsome, arrogant, cruel Uncle Brandon. He almost killed Peter in a duel. And your mother loved him anyway. And now, Peter is risking his life to save you. The daughter of a woman who didn't love him. No more than those whores in his brothels. Has he told you about them?
No.
He hasn't told you about the vile things they do with their bodies, the vile things they let him do with their bodies?
No, never.
You pregnant?
What? No, I told you, Lord Tyrion and I never...
asking about Tyrion. What have you let Peter do with your body?
Aunt Lysa, no,
Your young, pretty body.
Nothing, I'm a virgin.
Don't lie to me.
You're hurting me.
I'll know if you lie.
I'm a virgin, I swear it. He loves you, Aunt Lysa. All he says is that I'm a stupid little girl with stupid dreams who never learns, and I'm a terrible liar, so I should always tell the truth, and I swear to you that he's never touched me, not once, not ever.
Is that more what the Hound said to her?
So this was actually a pretty good callback. It's she said that about herself in Bear and the Maiden Fair, which was also directed by Michelle MacLaren. So it's a Michelle MacLaren callback where Sansa's saying,
"That's cool."
And what she's doing is projecting. This is her first abuse defense against Joffrey, because he always called her, "You're a stupid girl."
Right.
I don't talk to stupid girls. And she says, "You're right. I'm a stupid girl." She was doing it to just get him to back off. And so this is her version almost of Arya's list of people she's going to kill.
Right.
It's like, I'm a stupid girl, I'm a stupid girl, I'm a stupid girl, just over and over.
Yeah. And oh my, is Lysa a freak or what?
Wow.
Well, we know her. Yeah, man, the stuff she does in bed.
It better be pretty good.
This whole scene is Lysa taking one thing and twisting it around and
she's quite
curving it in a little bit.
She's very perverted.
She's, she brings Sansa dessert and then talks about how her dearly departed mother used to always eat dessert first, and then they go into the whole thing with the men and how she always took the sweetest one first, and I'm like, you planned this whole thing. You're insane.
There's definitely a lot of jealousy and just this. She's been up in this fucking crazy high altitude mountain. Maybe that's doing something.
And too much breastfeeding, maybe.
Too much breastfeeding at high altitude.
Yeah,
and it's so secluded. I mean, it's gotta be deathly boring there.
Yeah.
I heard a lot of people say this week, they were like, oh, Sansa finally got into the game, by lying back to Lysa here. But I didn't see that at all. I just saw Sansa panic and
I agree with you.
And commit to that image that she has of herself that everybody tells her, and that I didn't see.
I thought she was more playing possum.
No, she was playing possum. I don't think she thinks she's a stupid girl with stupid dreams. I think she's become wiser. We got some evidence of that last week with Peter in the ship. She really revealed her intelligence around this and her point of view. She knows to call herself stupid when people are being crazy and sadistic.
Yeah,
in her presence.
Right.
To submit. She's just submissive.
Yeah.
Right. That's right. But that's not some calculating lie. That's just her fallback position.
Right.
Right. When people are getting crazy.
It's more like she knows that'll. But she doesn't dwell on her own stupidity. She's not she's by herself. She's not. She doesn't have low self-esteem.
Right.
She's submissive where Arya is dominant. When Arya faces those situations, she starts stabbing everybody in front of her.
Right.
And Sansa backs off and tries to demur her way out.
Yeah. Right. And it's just part of Arya's the rebel and Sansa's the good little girl.
Right.
Who was raised to be a queen, and good little girls don't act out the way rebels do.
Right. And I think it actually goes back a little bit to what Shane was asking about with the storylines that aren't going anywhere. Martin has always called himself a gardener, somebody who just pushes out. And it's clear that he had this idea of kind of Ned and Kat and Arya and Sansa as this little core family in the first book who were going to be solving mysteries and all this stuff. And then he just started chopping off heads and sending people around. And so they're kind of like these torn apart Harry Potter characters who've been thrown to different parts of the world, who have to exist without they're supposed to be this huge dynamic between Sansa and Arya. It's throughout the first book, throughout the first season, you see it, and it's gone. Right after the first season. And so I think that's just an effect of the way that he writes. Is he just pushes characters in perverse directions.
Interesting. Oh, that, and we got a little preview of Sansa's next marriage.
Awesome.
Which just kind of made me throw up a little in my mouth.
I hope she likes breast stimulation.
It's like, that's disgusting.
You're going to get plenty of it.
Okay, so let's line up her suitor, the people that she's potentially been betrothed to or has been.
Yeah,
it was Joff, then Tyrion, then Robin.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just brutal. I mean, next thing they're going to do is give her Hodor or.
Hodor would at least be nice to her.
If there hadn't, if Tyrion hadn't had such a bad relationship with Joffrey, that I think Marjorie pointed out that could have been a working relationship. They respected each other on a certain level.
Yeah.
Baelish is going to try to find a way to off Lysa and Robin. Keep the veil in Winterfell. He's got it.
Yeah, please. I can't believe
that would be what I would like to see Baelish do.
Right.
Get himself a veil.
Because her status and birth will give him legitimacy to the veil, and if she is the only heir to Winterfell, and she is her aunt, so and he has Harrenhal, and he's just gonna keep trying to gobble stuff up.
Right.
But then we'd have to have Sansa and Baelish.
Oh my god!
I said I think he's gonna try. I think
I keep picturing this little baby Baelish with the mustache.
Somebody's
and a widow's peak and a mustache and a little bundle.
Little devil baby.
Little devil baby just grabbing at tits. Oh, it's awful. It's terrible.
Yeah.
Such a bad image.
Jesus.
Ouch.
Try to unimagine that.
Is it time for some feedback?
We have one more.
We have one more of this, and then we'll just...
Yeah, it's the Cersei and Oberyn scene.
I haven't seen my daughter in over a year.
The last time I saw her, she was swimming with two of my girls in the water gardens. Laughing in the sun.
I want to believe that. I want to believe she's happy.
You have my word. You don't hurt little girls in Dorne.
Everywhere in the world they hurt little girls.
Dun, 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 dun.
Everywhere in the world. Well, yeah, this week, evidently. You know.
Well, this season, it
This
seems
season,
like.
yeah.
Yeah. This quote that everywhere in the world they hurt little girls, that's the quote for the season. This is the theme.
Yes.
Definitely the theme of the season.
You know,
And not so little girls.
and not so little girls. Yeah, it doesn't matter. Women, girls, they're all
I wonder how
at risk.
It's got this interesting resonance with what happened with Jamie. You know, it's like everywhere in the world, the king's guard will rape the queen.
Right.
They hurt little girls and big girls everywhere.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's, I don't know. It just feels like it resonates with what happened to her. Yeah.
Yep, absolutely. To me, it even seemed like this was her whole life, you know, because she was forced to marry Robert Baratheon. He raped her multiple times.
Right.
You know, the whole thing with Jamie, whatever other things may have happened in this imaginary world to Cersei, it's a credit to Lena Headey, because it was just, you could see that whole lifetime of pain in her face.
Yeah.
It was fantastic.
And everything that she's imagined may be happening to Marcella.
Absolutely, absolutely, because she does not believe for 1 second that Marcella is safe.
I want to call out the tracking shot that, whereas they walk, they're, in this scene, they're standing on the edge looking out of the sea of a building built on the side of a mountain, and they come down this stair and this tracks, and you just see the columns go in and the camera come down, and we're looking up at them from from where they're going to be standing, and that's Michelle.
Beautiful shot. It was beautiful.
Michelle.
So also we get reminders that Oberyn has 8 daughters.
That I know about.
Right.
Yes. And this is interesting.
At least he claims his illegitimate daughters, unlike other people.
Absolutely, yeah. But this is Cersei's the third one with the third judge.
Right.
The third conversation. So
she's playing the judges.
She's playing the judges, talking about how all the power that you have can't protect the ones you love, and that you have to avenge them. You know, it's like,
Well, a very clever subtext. She says, everywhere in the world they hurt little girls, like your sister was hurt here.
Exactly.
She's reminding him, as though he needs it.
Right.
She's reminding him that she, or at least telling him that she knows what happened.
Yeah.
And she'll validate his point of view. She won't deny it like Tywin.
Right.
She'll say, yeah, that's war. That's what we did.
Yeah. And that's what happens to girls in war.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. And I love the fact that she got her daughter a gigantic sailboat for her name day. Is this a little hint that, you know, she's going to go out for a, 3-hour tour and
come to King's Landing. It's totally safe.
Right?
Your brother was poisoned on his wedding day. It's totally safe here.
Oh, yeah, you'll be fine.
You'll be fine.
Yeah.
My God.
You know, all these scenes with Cersei remind me of that quote from Damage, that movie Damage, where it's damaged. Yeah, damaged people are dangerous. They know they can survive. You know, to me that's Cersei in a nutshell.
Absolutely.
Totally.
Yeah.
You know, I actually, it's a real tribute to Lena, because I actually felt for her.
Yeah.
For the first time, and that really caught me by surprise.
Yeah. No, she played it so well this week. This episode, she was just.
So this was because last episode was kind of Jaime's episode, and this was Cersei's for sure. Yeah.
Well, the part that wasn't Craster's Keep.
Well, in King's Landing.
Yes.
Well, it's really a tribute. I mean,
absolutely.
To be able to pull something like that off. I mean, I never thought for once I'd feel empathy for her, but I really did.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's incredible stuff.
Oh, she did a fantastic job.
And we are reminded of the position she's in.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
She's the only adult remaining in the family, right? Because Jaime is out of the family. Tyrion's going to be out of the family.
Yeah.
And so it's her and Tywin.
Yeah.
Who have to run things.
Yeah.
Or you have to trust Marjorie. Right. It's a little rough for her.
Yeah.
Cool. Does that finish up
that
King's
that
Landing
actually
and South?
finally finishes up all the little girls.
All the little girls. Well, no, there's one more little girl.
Oh,
which
true.
Is, or two more
Not all the
that I've got
little
to work
girls,
with.
but all the
and one
King's
big
Landing
one.
girls.
I got two little ones and one big one. So I'm opening up with Daenerys, and she is in. She's on the holodeck with her 3 people in the whole 50,000 man host, or is it 10,000 man host or whatever it is that she has that she talks to. Barristan Selmy, Jorah Mormont, and Dario Naharis. And Dario Naharis has gotten her a navy because he knows she likes the chips. The chips in the salsa. And so basically they run down her military option, which is that they think that they have basically the minimum force they need to take King's Landing. But Jorah says there's no way that you can conquer all of Westeros with this many people. But Selmy says, the people will rally to the queen if she takes King's Landing and is a Targaryen and a dragon and all this kind of stuff. And I just never realized what a fanboy he is.
Yeah.
Doesn't it seem like that's terrible advice? Get out of here.
That really seemed like a stupid thing.
That is such a yes man, kiss ass. Like Beyonce gets advice like this probably and fires people for it. Let alone dragon queens, right? And so she dismisses everybody except Jorah, and Jorah gives her the rundown that basically all these, which is I liked this part of it because it's like. I actually haven't read this far into the story because this stuff comes a little bit further into the books. The cities that she's conquering and leaving behind are just falling back into the hands of the masters. That's who the masters are.
Right.
They're the people who can take over a city full of slaves. And like we discussed last week, no administrators.
Right.
Right. No military leaders. So she decides to commit to the slave cities and to forget about taking Westeros for the time being, and to just build her empire here, which I think is the right choice. I kind of agree with Shane. It's the right choice, but I don't care so much. But I'm glad to see that she's matured as a leader.
Yeah.
And isn't just thinking that dragons will feed people.
Right.
And she's finding her own purpose too.
Yeah.
Because at the beginning of this, she's really following Viserion's purpose, her brother.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is her own purpose. She's made up one, and there's no reason not to be the queen of the East. Why be in the West?
Right.
I mean, the Targaryens took over the West. They could have taken over the East just easily.
But if you're king of Westeros, you're the king of the 7 kingdoms.
But that doesn't include like Yunkai and all that crap.
I guess not.
Yeah.
Maybe.
So I had one little thing. So it just seems to me like yes, I mean it's like we're purposely delaying the arrival of dragons in a place where dragons will wipe out every concern of the story. And I think that one of the problems I'm having with this part of the story, it isn't that she's in Yunkai, it's that she doesn't have any interesting relationships.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Grey Worm a little bit, but he's just learning the language.
Right.
Jorah is Lord Friendzone. Selmy is apparently some delusional fanboy. Missandre, she's got a little kind of back and forth going with Missandre, but it's still, she doesn't have it's not like Jon Snow and Sam,
Right.
Yeah.
Or the Lannisters with each other,
Yeah.
And I think
she doesn't have a confidant that she can truly trust.
No, she has targets for exposition, and that's it. We're speech making at each other.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah.
So she's becoming less interesting as a character because of that, I think.
She's been less interesting as a character for quite some time.
Come on, Shane, tell us how you really feel.
Yeah, but I mean, it makes you long for season 1 Dany.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, where there were actual, real relationships being mined, not plots being serviced.
Right. Like Khal Drogo. I mean, that was
exactly. Yeah.
That was a real relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And a complicated one, and one starts off abusive and becomes, gets transformed and just is interesting.
Yeah.
Well, and if they're pausing there in Slaver's Bay to fulfill that role, great.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, maybe that's what we get. But I mean, it's so one note, and it's been one note for so long that there's no shades of anything.
Right.
Yeah.
It's.
And I'd like to see her face a military difficulty. I'd like to see her not just hurl some stuff into a city, have a dragon breathe on someone, and the whole city falls into her hands without any kind of resistance. You know, it's like, have somebody outsmart her. Have somebody do something clever that tricks her up, gets her caught. You know, it happened in the Karth, right? I mean, she screwed up there a little bit, and it got silly, but it was a little interesting.
Yeah.
So, okay. Speaking of interesting relationships, now we have Brienne and Pod on the road.
Yay.
I love this scene. I just really do. Again, this is Michelle MacLaren, where it's like, it is an incredibly substantial piece of the story, but two actors who just suddenly became three-dimensional. Yeah. More so than they had. I've always liked Brienne especially, and I've liked Pod. But here, I've seen very little Brienne that's this good on material that's this slight, you know.
Yeah. Well, you're right. The dimension came to Pod. Brienne has dimension. We didn't learn anything that new about Brienne, but we certainly learned a lot about Pod.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because he got to do something other than pour wine and, you know, be the pussy popper. You know,
right.
So
pussy popper.
Well, but do you notice Brienne's also just it's the element of her character? She has no empathy for him until she finds out that he killed a man in combat.
Right.
And then that impresses her enough that she starts to engage.
In combat, in service to his lord.
Right.
On top of that, so it's like she's looking at that. It's like, wow, that's awesome.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
And in a brutal way.
Yeah.
He didn't puss out.
Yeah. So. So I'm loving Brienne Pod, and I'm hoping that we get more of that as we go. I mean, they seem to be on a kind of a hopeless mission. I kind of don't care if it doesn't really go anywhere. Just give me a few minutes every week of them Pod burning up. He burns a rabbit. So mostly I poured wine. I don't know how to cook or do anything. Thanks a lot.
Yeah. The poor rabbit on fire was just...
And then, yes.
Jay was absolutely right. His feedback early on, you know, a little humor. There was a lot of needed, you know, humanity in there. You know,
yes,
it's good stuff.
Yeah, it's good to have the contrast too, because you feel sadder if you've had some humor.
Yeah,
unless you just have one note of everybody's just sad the whole time.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we got one more scene, and then we're going to get some listener feedback on some of this character development because we've had other people make similar comments. This was a really good scene, too, I thought, for a longer-term relationship that's worked out here. This is Arya and the Hound. And Arya is water dancing, and the Hound is, needless to say, unimpressed.
You think?
Who taught you that shite?
The greatest swordsman who ever lived. Syria Farrell, the first sword to the Sea Lord of Bravos.
Greasy-head little bastard of it. They all are.
What do you know about anything?
I bet his hair's greasier than Joffrey's cunt.
It was not.
Was? He dead?
Yes.
How?
He was killed.
Who by?
Meryn Trant. That's why Sir Meryn's
Meryn Trant. The greatest swordsman who ever lived, killed by Meryn fucking Trant.
He was outnumbered.
Any boy whore with a sword could beat 3 Meryn Trant.
Syria didn't have a sword. Or armor, just a stick.
The greatest swordsman ever lived didn't have a sword. All right, you have a sword. Let's see what he taught you. Go on, do it for your verbose friend. Dead like all the rest of your friends.
I'm cool.
Your friend's dead. And Meryn Trant's not. Because Trant had armor. And a big fucking sword.
Arya, you need a bigger sword.
Need a bigger sword, Arya. Or it should have aimed for his face.
Right?
Yeah, but it just felt like a schoolyard taunt. And just, there's such a... I mean, he backhands her in a way that's just like, you remember who the Hound is.
Yeah.
But,
it's funny, the pacing of his lines reminds me, especially listening to it without the visual, reminds me a lot of his audition tape on YouTube.
Yeah.
He sounds like he's kind of just the pacing.
On Bald Move, they said, Aaron said, he read, on Reddit or whatever, that somebody compared it to a character in the Kevin Smith movie who comes in and just in a typical Kevin Smith movie, a couple of geeky, low-level beta characters will be arguing with each other about Star Wars or Spider-Man or something, and some total jock athlete super geek will come in and just dress them both down and deconstruct their mythology and everything. So, okay, so before we get into the disaster at Crastus, let's hear a little bit from our.
Well, first we have from Stephanie Brown Anderson. Pod is such a physical specimen with coordination and moves that impress the most skilled sex workers in King's Landing, but he can't stay steady in a saddle. Could it be that his tripod makes it nearly impossible for him to sit on a horse? He was wiggly.
Poor Pod.
Kim Sheriff. This is the most character development we've had of Cersei since the show's inception, but she still remains a mystery to me. I'm glad that she recognizes Joffrey's pathologies for what they were. I loved watching Littlefinger squirm under the affections of Lysa Tully.
Yeah.
Kim, you're a little pervert. Jay Greenspan. I know she's fictional and all, but if someone is doing fundraising to help Sansa, I'll contribute. Susan Monk. The look on her face when Crazy Aunt told her who her next husband would be was tragic.
Yes.
Like, no, another one of these.
Another fucking little
Pat
mama's
Spoonagel.
boy.
I feel so sorry for Sansa. Oh, Sansa, I'm your loving Aunt Lysa. You whore! What did you let Peter do? Oh, that's okay. Soon I'll be your mom-in-law. Oh, my God. And Haven Perez. I think Sansa is Littlefinger's Achilles heel. And that old auntie senses this. She immediately senses Littlefinger is using his treachery to hide his attraction. Don't know what to call his conception of Sansa. My anxiety levels were off the charts when her auntie began to get all psychotic-y on her. Just changed up on her. Poor thing.
There you go. So again.
All right.
All right. So this is the title fight, though. We've just been doing all this character development crap for 40 minutes, and now we need a pow.
Yeah.
Right on. So when the Night's Watch reach Craster's Keep, it's just before nightfall, and they have Locke in charge of walking the perimeter to get the layout and figure out how many men are in there, which was weird because Locke isn't even.
He's like
the newest
new
guy.
guy.
Yeah. Why wouldn't it be a sworn brother of whatever? But that
Bad plan.
seemed kind of weird.
First bad plan ever from the Night's Watch.
All right, and then we cut over to Bran and company, and Jojen is having a green dream, and he tells them that Craster's Keep is not where their journey will end, that Bran will go on no matter what. He must, you know.
Did this remind you of a Led Zeppelin album cover?
Yeah. Some kind of psychedelic
He's really looking
trip.
like Jimmy Page. He's really looking like Jimmy Page there.
And it looked like, you know how when people take an image and drag the corner instead of resizing the image properly?
Right.
And everything ends up all stretched out?
Yeah.
That's how Bran's legs looked.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, the legs are getting. He's like a basketball player.
But they didn't even look, I mean, they looked out of proportion. They were just phenomenally long.
And they wouldn't be growing.
Right.
Too. On
Right.
Top of it, not
I didn't
very
think about
quickly.
that. They'd be atrophying more.
They'd be
yeah.
atrophying, and not. He's like, well, why are you so tall?
Right. It seems like they would have done something with camera angles or something to
Or
not make that
CGI,
look so.
or
Something.
digging him into holes, something to
Throw
try.
a blanket over his lap. Something.
Yeah, but I think I'm just going with. It's been 3 years. I don't give a shit if it's only.
And I keep thinking when I kind of get every now and then when I get hung up on time or when I hear another podcast talking about it, I think maybe time works differently in their world too.
Right, maybe puberty is 15 months total.
Yeah, who
right,
knows?
or 2 months or
Who
whatever.
knows?
Yeah.
So he also sees Bran sitting, under a giant weirwood tree, and he explains that he and Mira and Hodor are merely guides, and that this is about Bran's journey, and you have to make it. And Bran says, "We will." And you can see Bran's not really getting what he's saying. But to me, it's making it clear that Jojen can tell he won't be around too long.
Right. I'm agreeing with Shane. This is getting intolerably repetitive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's like, how is this different from all of the shit that we were saying with the Wilding woman like 2 years ago?
Right.
Now, it's like we heard this story every week.
Right.
For a long time. They got to
Because in the books, it's more about the journey and but nothing really significant about them starving.
Well, and the thing is, in the books, Bran is a minor character. His chapter, he's got one, half the chapters that the other each individual does, if that, maybe a third. And so the fact that this journey's taking forever doesn't bug you in the books because you only read it once every 5 or 6 chapters. It's like, oh, he's still stuck in the woods. Okay, fine. And I think it's the Theon effect. It's like we have to keep coming back to Bran, otherwise we'll forget about him and we have contracts. Yeah.
Right. Anyway, and then Mira asks, how it will end, and we see Jojen looking at his burning hand, so we know it's fire. And I heard others say that they think it's referring to the fire at the end of this episode, but to me, I think it's future.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that was the future.
But I mean,
far further future.
Yes.
I think, yeah. But he did say, "I saw how you died tonight."
I have an interesting twist on that one too when we get to that.
So we'll move to that.
And then we see Locke report back that there are 11 men there, and most of them are already drunk, and they don't have anyone standing guard. But there are 2 hounds caged up, and we know what that means. And John says, "Get some rest. We move at sundown." And then we see Carl being led into Bran's group.
So I had a thing here, and maybe I misinterpreted this. Mm-hmm. I thought that Locke saw Bran, right?
Yes.
Yes.
I thought that he lied to the lads about what's in that.
I thought he was
Bran
misdirecting them.
He's misdirecting them and saying it's hounds. Stay clear of them. Don't wake them up. Because it's Bran and the Joe and
you're right. I didn't make that connection.
Yeah. Right. So I'm just deceiving you about who's in there.
Right.
But also, we don't want the dogs to smell you. That made sense too.
His cover story made sense. But
I didn't really think about exactly where Bran was.
They don't have any dogs.
No, that's the wolves. Yeah.
Yeah. They just have the direwolf.
Yeah. I figured he heard doggy noises.
Right. No, but I think he was just shying them away from there so that they don't find Bran in the
Right.
That's exactly what he was doing.
Good point.
Yeah,
I missed that. So Carl's let in, and this is where he ties up Mira with her hands above her head and make it clear that it looks like they're going to rape Mira.
Oh, that's refreshing.
All right.
For a change of pace, we're going to rape someone.
Hodor. And then the kids are drilled about where they're from, and they can tell that they're highborn based on their clothing. But Bran won't say a word until he finally speaks up to prevent Mira from being raped or injured, and he says he's Brandon Stark of Winterfell.
Dun dun dun.
Yep. And one of the other guys go, Jon Snow's brother.
Yeah. Stark. Brandon Stark.
Yep. And then that's
Kramer
what Jojen says that he has the sight. Oh, this is the part. So this is where Jojen says that he has the sight and he could be valuable to them.
Right.
And then he says he saw Carl die tonight. And I typed down the quote just in case I needed it. And when I typed it, I was like, oh, because it says, I saw snow fall and bury your bones. And Jon Snow and his men fell upon them.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So that was kind of interesting.
Very nice.
Yeah.
I kind of like that.
Good. I didn't catch that. That was good.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I didn't catch it until I was typing. And then the Night's Watch descends and starts kicking ass.
Awesome.
So, and those were great scenes.
So,
those
were
great fighting scenes.
I think they only lost one of
They
the
said
Night's
they
Watch.
lost 5. Which
Really?
I thought was pretty high to be fighting against 11 men.
Yeah.
And 11 drunk men
Yeah.
who don't see you coming.
They lost 5 of their
They said
guys.
5.
I thought they were
Yeah.
counting the dead mutineers.
No, they said we lost 4, and then somebody dragged up Locke, and
No. They said they lost 5 men, and then they said, and then they had 10 of the others.
Right.
And they're like, but Locke said there were 11. Oh yeah, 5, and then they brought
because
Locke.
they have to count the mutineers. So
Right.
they were. I thought they were counting mutineers.
It was
It's
11 mutineers.
There were 11 mutineers, and they had 10 bodies. So that means one guy got away.
Right.
So
And then 5 men.
It only
at
takes
the
one to
Night's Watch.
fuck this whole thing up. We got to find him.
Yeah.
Right.
But they don't actually have to worry about it.
Right.
Nope.
Thankfully.
Nope. And that's when Locke bursts into the tent and asks, and Bran asks if Jon's with them, and he asks, "Are you Brandon Stark?" And Bran doesn't respond, but he's looking at Jojen's terrified look. And Jojen and Mira and Bran are all looking at each other, and it's like, oh, this doesn't feel right. And then when he doesn't answer, Locke just cuts into Bran's thigh to see if he responds.
Right.
Oh, you didn't feel that? I guess you are Brandon Stark.
Yeah.
I guess you are Brandon Stark.
Yep. So
nice. Now I have an infection. Asshole.
Yeah.
Right.
Great.
And then now we're going for a ride, boy. And then that's when Bran starts calling out for Jon, and Locke says, "Keep talking, and he'll slice everyone's throat, starting with Hodor." So that's where they're just all looking at each other and, like, oh shit, what do we do? And we know the warning's going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, to me, it almost looked like Bran was looking at Jojen, and they had this look between each other that said, "Yeah, do it."
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's almost like on the Incredible Hulk when the bully in the truck starts fucking with David Banner.
Yeah.
For literally no reason whatsoever, and it just accelerates and accelerates.
Yeah.
And you know there's going to be a hulking.
Exactly.
A hulking.
You know there's going to be some Hodor
A
in here.
A hulky Hodor.
Don't make me Hodor my way
and
out of this.
Hodor's already, rattling his chains and stuff. He just needs that umph.
Yeah,
so
you wouldn't like me when I'm angry.
So then Bran wargs into Hodor's body just as he's being carried out of the hut or whatever it is. And then Wargdor follows Locke outside and rips his throat out. It was awesome.
Did we see the meme for Hodor Unchained?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Totally.
Mm-hmm. That was just awesome. I did enjoy that immensely. And then Bran has him, has Hodor grab Locke's knife and cut Bran loose and then go free the others. And that was a little too fast of a transition for me. Because, anything like, going back to the movie Ghost.
Right.
When you inhabit somebody's body like that, then it's like, oh my God, you're exhausted and blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Hodor just kind of snapped a little too fast for me.
Yeah, well, yeah.
It's just a little phony, but...
It was adrenaline.
I guess. I
it breaks the rules of warging.
Yes, I know. It can be just...
In actual warging,
it can totally be me being nitpicky, but... and then Brand's...
I want to stop there for a second. I want to ask. So Hodor, we're talking about consent a lot, in some of the scenes that we've seen. Hodor was made a murderer against his will.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And he's looking at the blood on his hands.
Not murder, it's self-defense, but he could have gotten Locke off without killing him.
Mm-hmm.
And we know that Hodor's a sensitive type. What do we think about Bran's willingness to just use Hodor to kill? Yeah,
I'm okay with it.
You're okay with it?
I think
it was a desperate situation.
It was a desperate situation.
Hodor he was in just as much jeopardy as everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think we can justify Bran's actions in terms of would you rather be dead? But it's more like in terms of impact on Hodor.
Right.
Because he doesn't communicate with us.
Yeah.
We don't really know what he feels about it.
And clearly he was upset by the fact that he didn't know what happened and there was blood on his hands.
I think in general it's a breach of trust for Hodor.
Right.
To do that. In this extreme situation, absolutely, to save everyone's lives.
Yeah.
But if he was just Hodoring into Bran, or jumping into Hodor so that he could walk and he can enjoy some of the things that he can't do, then that's bullshit.
Well, that's bullshit, but also we know that Bran is starting to react to working a little bit like a drug.
Mm-hmm.
And when you get a habit on a drug, you tend to underestimate its impact on you and to dismiss a lot of the side effects. And I feel more like he's not going to be sensitive to Hodor's emotional impact, even if the action was justified.
Right.
You still have to take care of your Hodor.
True.
And I'm feeling like he might not be of that mindset.
Yeah.
Right.
But he's still just a kid, right?
He's 20.
I mean, Bran is 20.
No, I mean, clearly he is. I know he's supposed to be 10, I think, or 11.
12-ish.
12.
I think Arya's supposed to be about 10, him maybe 12.
Right.
Somewhere in there.
Yeah.
But
I'm not saying it's right or anything, but I mean, still, these are extraordinary circumstances, but I don't know. It didn't bother me at all.
Oh, look how
Banner
easy it is to rationalize. Do you have a problem, Shane? Do you need to call someone?
Yeah. You're funny.
Then what did you guys think of Bran being so close to Jon and Jojen warning him that he would prevent Jon from going north? It kind of made me think Cult of the Three-Eyed Raven.
Yeah, seriously, I mean, I need clearer answers on this three-eyed raven. I understand that it's the key to the something.
Yeah.
But we're talking about marching into an army of 100,000 cannibalistic lunatics.
Right.
Right.
For a bird?
To find a fucking bird.
A mystical bird.
A mystical bird? Are you out of your mind? Why can't the bird fly to the wall? How about that? Because walking through Mance Rayder's army is not a good idea when you're Hodor, a couple of kids, and Bran.
Yeah.
I mean, these they stand no chance against Ygritte. She's just wipe them out. I mean, she sees them. Just boom, boom, boom. Dead.
My other thought, too, is with them injecting this whole Craster's Keep scene. What's going on with the wildlings that, not Thorosomir, Jesus. I jumped totally off the rails there. The girl, Ygritte, and her people, they were almost to the wall.
They were past the wall.
They were on the south
side. They're on the south side.
Yeah.
Are they on the south side now?
Remember they did the climb.
They're the reconnaissance troops.
Oh, that's right.
That's on the south side.
And they're attacking settlements that are not wildling settlements. They're northerners.
Yeah.
But they're on one side. They're supposed to be. I forget what the thing is, but they're basically supposed to breach the wall somehow. I think there's a secret passage or whatever, and that they can open up from this side that's going to let Mance and his army in.
Yeah.
But now, I'm just thinking, how's Jon going to get back there before that happens?
What I don't understand from Mance Rayder's point of view is, who are these? You got like a dozen guys who are going to climb the wall. They go to the other side. They're going to come in. They're going to open this gate, and you're going to walk through there like the Persian army in 300, and you are going to 100 guys could kill all of you. They'll just be dropping fucking rocks on you the whole time while you funnel into this narrow passage.
Right.
Unless there's some giant garage door. I don't know what the plan is. I don't know what the southern Ygritte-driven plan is.
Right.
Yeah. So.
It'll be interesting how that plays out on screen.
But there are a bunch of Mance Rayder people where the Crasters are.
Yeah. North of the wall. Yeah.
So basically, the message that Jojen gives Bran is nothing must get in the way of finding the three-eyed raven, and that's where I'm like, cult. Really? I don't know.
Yeah, this is getting a little Melisandre for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's getting a little, I don't know, just the whole thing about oh, you can't reach out to your family because they'll stop you. This is your mission, but they've been telling him this I don't know. It just feels like.
If I was Bran, it's like I need a clear explanation of this.
I would start second guessing it.
Yeah, that is my brother. This is an army that can protect us. We can find ravens after we deal with what's happening. Yeah.
Okay.
Go fuck the three-eyed raven. I'd go total hound. Fuck the raven.
I'll eat the raven.
I'll eat the raven. I'll eat every raven in the north.
I'll suck all 3 eyeballs out of its head.
You got a 4-eyed raven. You got a 7-eyed raven. I don't care how many eyes the raven has. I'll eat it.
Make a martini with his eyes.
Yeah, exactly.
That would be great if it was the hound who actually had this warging fate thing, and he's like, "Fuck this, fuck the raven." But he keeps getting mystical dreams and like little pixie-like people coming up to him. But you must come with us and find the raven. Fuck you all. All right.
That's the new thing. What would the hound say?
Right. Or what would the hound do?
Or do, yes.
Seriously.
And then we see Jon and Carl's final showdown inside of Craster's Keep. And that was a great scene. I like that.
Yeah. They're calling him Baby Willem Dafoe.
He does kind of look like Willem Dafoe.
Yeah,
he does.
So that's another old move
son.
and Reddit thing.
I missed that one. And so they're fighting, and Carl's taunting him about learning how to parry, and did you learn from your old maester, and and you're such a polite gentleman when you fight, and and I'm gonna fuck you up and whatever else. And then Craster's wife, Jon's pinned down, and Carl's about to do him off when the Craster wife that Carl's been torturing and slapping around stabs him in the back.
Right.
Giving Jon the chance to plant his sword through his back of his head and out of his mouth. That was awesome.
I think Michelle got one little Walking Dead maneuver in each episode. So we had the Horde attacking the Masters in the last one, and this one we got.
That was some Michonne shit.
This was some Michonnership. Yeah. So that was a total Michonne
right
sword bit. Before I go on, there's one more thing I want to say. I found this a completely missed opportunity. Carl should have been given a legitimate point of view. The Night's Watch has been set up to fail and asked to take this extreme vow and given no support by the people they're supposedly defending.
True.
He has every right to say, fuck the South. They ask us to go up here. There's 100 of us. They ask us to stop a zombie army or whoever's going to be up here, or Mance Raider. 100,000 people. They can't bother to send 10,000 guys up here to fight off Mance Raider.
Mm-hmm.
And they expect us to give up family life and to all this devotion and blah, blah, blah. And they've done nothing for us.
Mm-hmm.
They've given us nothing. So they have no right to expect us to fight this war for them.
Right.
That should have been the monologue, not I'm a crazy rapist.
Right.
You know, and so it was a missed opportunity. He should not have been a snarling, drooling fool. He should have been somebody who had a solid point.
Who's Carl?
He's the Willem Dafoe looking motherfucker that John killed. The leader, the guy, the main bad guy.
Tanner.
Yeah, Carl Tanner.
Yeah, okay. Sorry, you said Walking Dead and Carl, and I'm like...
not Carl. Carl Grimes should have a point, too.
Right. There's a lot of Walking Dead kind of popping up in here.
Yeah. I think it's just McLaren, you know.
Yeah. And then that's where we find out that they lost 5 brothers. And we think they took about 12 with them. We're not exactly sure. And then they come across Locke's body because they realize, or they're doing their account. And they say, what in 7 hells could do that to a man, is what John says.
A Hodor.
A Hodor. Yep.
If you only knew.
If you only knew.
And then they realize that they're missing a man, and it's Rast. And where's Rast? And Rast is out running around in the snow again. Mm-hmm. And then Joe Ghost leaps out of nowhere.
Awesome.
To silence Rast forever.
So I just had to say I thought this was pretty poetic justice.
This was awesome.
Because Rast was the one chastising Sam and Gilly for running away when the mutiny happened. And who's the one to run away when the mutineers get their ass handed to them? It's Rast.
Yep.
Yeah. So, and then Ghost gets him.
Yep. And it was good to see that they let Ghost out at the same time they let Summer out.
Yeah.
So that he could go find John.
Right.
Yeah.
And then that's when John and Ghost, finally meet. Ghost pops out.
Yep. That's good.
Oh, that was a good one. Yeah.
And we had just had a lot of conversation in the Facebook group about John doesn't even seem like he misses Ghost. There's no him, because we don't see his thoughts or hear his thoughts the way we do in the book.
Yeah.
Where in the book he does have wolf dreams, although he does not understand them.
Right.
Until when Ghost is on the other side of the wall, though, we can't feel him.
Oh.
Right.
So that's an interesting thing that we might learn more about later.
That the wall is like FM radio.
But he does...
or the walking is like FM radio.
Yeah, he does miss Ghost. He does want... where did you go, boy? And, where are you? And are you ever going to make it back to Castle Black? And whereas this reunion he didn't seem that excited to see Ghost, but it's because Ghost was CGI.
Yeah.
So in the books, Ghost tackles him and they roll down a hill together laughing, and
they don't have the money for that.
They can't do that.
They can't be doing that shit.
So if anybody feels really let down by that reunion, I think that's why they just couldn't portray it.
I think they're doing
physically
the best they could do with the dire wolves, and
it did lackluster. It didn't seem like John was that into him. Like,
right.
They've tried forced perspective on regular sized wolves and oversized photography, and they've tried CGI, and none of it is persuasive. It's all clearly these are not this size, or they're not real.
Right.
But what can you do?
So, and then John offers to take Craster's wives to the wall for protection and help them
we have this
find
on
work.
audio.
Go for it.
Oh, play it, yeah. Because this is good.
It's not safe for you here on your own. Mance Raider has an army heading this way, and there's worse out there than Mance. Come with us to Castle Black. We can find you work. Keep you safe.
Meaning all respect, Sir Crow. Craster beat us. And worse. Your brother Crows beat us, and worse. We'll find our own way.
You want to stay here? In Craster's Keep?
burn it to the ground, and all the dead with it.
Most of the wives are just homely. That one's creepy as hell.
They're pretty witchy. But this introduces our final topic, or on our feedback, which is, once again, so we're like 3 episodes in a row here where sexual assault is a pretty major theme. You know, these are the wives who have been liberated from one rape nightmare that became a worse rape nightmare. At least Craster wasn't raping people to death, as far as we know.
Right.
All right, the first one is Stephanie Brown Anderson. So fucking done with the rape. Done, done, done. The books are plenty rapey enough. Not sure why showrunners feel the need to add even more. That is my specific beef. And they do things like throw around the line, fuck them to death, and have some guy casually pounding away at a big-breasted woman in the background of a scene. It's just over the top. There has been rape or the threat of rape in at least in the last 3 episodes in a row. Philip Zierman. I don't mind the way it's being portrayed on Game of Thrones because they show it in the proper moral context of it being an evil thing, and that the people who do it are definitely bad people, and the audience knows that we're supposed to cheer when they get what's coming to them. Something that bothers me, though, is the way that a show like True Blood handles it. A vampire feeding on a human is treated as a very sexual act, and I would liken a vampire forcing themselves on a human to essentially being rape, where it's treated as just an everyday thing or even played up for laughs in some cases.
Interesting comparison.
Crystal Ferguson Helsel. Philip Zierman, great point about the rapes being in the appropriate moral context. I do not find enjoyment in watching the rape scenes. I do think that at Craster's, it shows the savage barbarian ways. There is a scene in Casualties of War where a woman is gang raped and then killed. It has disturbed me for many, many years. I don't get such an intense feeling from last night's episode because of the context. Rape has always existed. Social and cultural norms influence thoughts and actions. These are not the same in our present reality as they are depicted in the time and the place of Game of Thrones. And I love, Jackie Burkett has a great one here. When a scene becomes salacious, it's like they're saying to me, I'm sticking this in your face because I want to make sure you get how nasty this is. Oh yeah, I get the fact you think I lack imagination.
Yeah.
I think that for me that really, because it's it's its own world. And it has its own morality and its own evil and whatever. But yeah, it's like next time we see a rape, we're just not going to give a shit.
Yeah. Well, and this, I mean, to be clear, rape is a crime in this world.
Yes.
You know, this is that.
This
what
isn't,
they're doing
but
is
it's not
legal.
ever prosecuted though.
Yeah,
Murder's
half
prosecuted.
these guys who are at the wall are there for rape.
Yeah.
You know? So that's why they're raping people, because they're rapists. You know, and so it is illegal. It's as you know, but maybe even more so than it would have been in the Middle Ages. But I don't think it's so much about whether it's legal or not. Is it being used textually in an interesting way here? And I don't think it is. I think it's lazy writing.
Well, as we were speaking before the show, and I asked for those who had read the books, is there's this much rape in the books, or even some of these lines?
Yeah.
And there isn't.
Not as much, no.
Showrunners.
There's much more talk about food than rape.
Yeah, exactly.
So much more talk about food.
So can we have some really glorious food porn?
They don't do the food porn. He has got food. This book is like a cookbook.
Wow.
This series. It's just.
I am disappointed now.
Yeah, I know. Oh, Jason has talked about these huge,
He spends chapters and chapters and chapters on
that
food.
line of Tywin's about the 77
Right.
courses,
Yeah.
that's real. And he describes all of them.
Oh, wow.
I think he describes only like 40 of them.
All right,
but it's
we-
like a huge
we
portion
demand,
of the.
Nattercast demands food porn.
Ooh, roasted walnuts with candied this, and then ooh, one of these things, and it's like, is all of this stuff going to your stomach? There's no way you're going to digest all this stuff.
Right.
My God, you're going to be puking all day. Yeah. No, he's much more of a foodie than a sex guy. You can tell that.
Now, what did you guys think about them drawing attention to Craster's Keep by setting it on fire? Who all seeing this fire?
Oh, God.
It was like the biggest fire the North has ever seen.
I'm expecting the White Walkers to walk through it like on The Walking Dead, you know, the cabin.
Yeah, I mean, I guess
Plus, Mance Raider could see it.
Mance
Who
Raider
else
can
is
see
out
all.
there?
Yeah,
What other
burning it
threats
is
are out
kind
there?
of silly. There's no reason to burn it to the ground, or you could just, if they want to stay there, we'll leave. You guys can burn it. Give us an hour to get out of here. you
Yeah.
know.
And everybody in this entire realm is coming up short on food. Everybody's got winter coming,
Yeah.
and they're not going to take pots and pans. They're not going to
Yeah,
take
where's their
food.
backpacks?
Yeah. No, and if you're a Mance Raider, you see
You know,
that
the juice
fire
boxes.
and you see the wall.
They're just
and
gonna
you
walk away in
head
dresses and nothing
for
else.
the wall, between the fire and the wall,
Right.
Because these guys are going to be having to walk straight back because they're going to fucking freeze to death.
Yeah.
Right. And so, yeah, it was stupid to burn the thing.
Yeah, no, my boyfriend asked the same thing. He's like, well, how are they going to survive up there?
Right.
You know, they have nothing. They just burned everything that they had, even though it was, you know, bad memories and whatever else.
Yeah, pots, pans, furs.
Yeah, it's like the end of the thing.
Yeah. It's like, all you got are the clothes on your back now, and it's cold out, and you're
And
not
it's
wearing
nighttime.
fur coats.
Well, the thing is, Gilly and Sam were able to make it back. We know there are like little Hope Motel 6s along the way.
Right.
And so, and they you know, and Gilly
But
was
they're not well stocked.
They're not well stocked,
No.
but Gilly was able to you can get firewood and you can survive the night.
Yeah.
And then you can make a plan. You know, and presumably they didn't burn all their food. They have food stores that are outside.
Probably,
Or-
yeah.
Yeah.
Because they would have, like, the pig pens and things
You have the
like
pig
that
pens and
outside.
and like all that, you know, and
Yeah.
and maybe presumably they'd haul some food out.
And it made it look like there was only a handful of wives, and there should have been
Right. And
dozens and dozens.
But the thing of it is, again, John, you can't let these women just stay here. The entire point of this mission is to prevent Mance Raider from finding out that there are only 100 men at the wall. If
Right.
any of these mutineers were loose-lipped about the size
Yeah.
and the layout
Yeah.
of the wall, the women know.
Right.
So Raider's going to torture them until they tell him everything they know. You can't let them go. You have to take them back against their will.
Well, he's not much of a strategist.
Right.
So anyway, all right. So that covers the evening for us. Do we have anything else?
Yeah, I got a question for everybody here. So we are at the midway point for the season.
Right.
What's our? I don't want to go into predictions because I think that's kind of boring on a show like this. But I mean, what do we think about this first half? What's our reflection on the first 5 of these? Good, bad, better than 3, better than 2, better than 1. I mean, I don't know. How are we feeling about this first half?
I kind of agree with Vaughn Carl Brown, who said it's uneven. I think
Yeah.
that the previous 3 seasons had the war, and leading up to Blackwater and that gave us a lot of structure that we don't have right now.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I've noticed that too. It's like I still really like the show, but I can tell that this season is not driven the same way. You know, it's still driving, it's still going, but there's a different driver at the wheel. And I don't mean a different rider, I mean a different reason for being.
Right.
You know.
Everyone's got scattered motivations now.
Yeah. And it kind of scatters the show.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
I think they should be united by food porn.
I think that would be an excellent idea.
Get Chef Ramsay.
Yeah, Chef Ramsay could.
He's the Michelle McLaren of food.
Come on.
Yeah.
No. Whoever's running Hannibal is who they need to get on here.
Oh, okay. There you go.
That is some of the sickest
That's some
food
porn,
you've
yeah,
ever
totally.
seen. I mean, did you guys see last Friday's episode? Oh
No.
my!
No, we skipped the last couple.
Oh my God, so good. That show is really kind of blowing my mind. And in fact, I was reading that Susan Monk. She's like, I just binged, all of the show. I'm caught up, and I'm like, and did you not want to slit your wrist? I mean, how could you binge Hannibal? I mean, that's
I
incredible.
binged it.
We binged. We binged to get into the season, and then we watched a few of these, and we'll probably
Yeah.
binge this one at the end.
Yeah.
We're not doing week to week.
That's just ballsy.
We had a little House Bolton kind of energy over here.
That's right. You are married to a proton.
I actually found Hannibal got a little self-indulgent, a little slow. I was like, come on.
Well, that's because they were, but this season it's picked up.
Yeah, I have to jump in.
Yeah, we'll run. We'll give it a run.
But we put it in the group. This Last Tango in Halifax.
Oh yeah, want to send a recommendation?
Wow. Oh, you guys, everyone has to see this. It's just, you're gonna really love. It's about relationships.
I have such a long list of stuff I gotta watch.
And it's so brilliantly done on every level.
Beautiful series.
Yeah.
Really? It's fantastic.
It looks, the advertising, I mean, the name, the cover pictures.
Yeah.
They're not. I don't even know where they got that shit from.
Yeah,
that's horrible.
No, they did some bad graphics.
It's like
the
it's a little bit like
cheesy.
how Derek and Peaky Blinders were not properly.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like that. It's on that level. It's easily on the. It's that level of intelligence. Yeah, the writing and the directing and the acting is just mind blowing.
Yeah, it's Derek Jacobi and Anne Reed, and they play this older couple who.
Yeah, it's an interesting story premise. But it really but there's action, there's romance, there's humor.
Yeah, it's sometimes it's like charming and sweet, and sometimes it's gritty, and but it's without ever being uneven.
Right.
It's really, really good.
And you really give a shit about every single damn character.
Yeah.
Every character you're on, you really want the best for them.
You're on everybody's side. Everybody's
yeah,
side.
it's very refreshing. Yeah, especially
What's it called again?
It's called Last Tango in Halifax, and it's a series, and I guess I just signed on for the second season, so that'll be good. It's on Netflix, and it's a British show.
They've aired the second season in England.
They have aired. I can't wait.
And it's starting here on PBS next month.
Yeah. But yeah, it's romantic. It makes you like, I don't know, made me kiss Jason.
It's really, really good. I mean,
but it's no chick flick. It's no chick flick BBC thing, or grandma whatever stuff.
And the thing is, I mean, Derek Jacobi, I could watch him read the phone book and be riveted. But what he does
all the women acting, not one traditional like skinny pretty girl, and they all are amazing.
Everyone looks pretty realistic.
Yeah.
Derek looks a little hobbity, but everyone else looks pretty realistic. Yeah. So.
Yeah, it's it's awesome.
It's awesome.
Nice. Sweet, pick of the week.
Yeah, definitely.
So. Okay, well, I want to do a short spoiler section. So when you hear the play-out music, if you don't want to be spoiled, press stop, and then we'll just talk about one or two things that are going to happen in the book and the story. But until next week, I guess. I don't even have a quote for this week. Just until next week.
Yeah. Alrighty.
Alrighty. Take care, everybody. Okay, I've only got one topic for spoilers, and if anybody has anything else they want to ask about, Danielle and I are the only book readers here, I guess. So the main thing that I wanted to just get a sense of is how we feel like they're going to pace out the series, because what's going to happen is that Baelish is going to throw Lysa Arryn out the moon gate, right? And that ends Storm of Swords. That's the very last thing that happens in Storm of Swords.
Something I listened to this morning called it Chekhov's Moon Gate.
It's Chekhov's Moon Gate. Yeah. That one's been going around. And so the only thing I got is like, I'm just like getting into Dance with Dragons and Feast for Crows. So and I know a little bit of what we're seeing now is already coming from those books. What's the sense of how much narrative we have left? Because the way I'm seeing it, we're going to be completely done with Storm of Swords for this season. Unless he throws Lysa Arryn out next season. Unless we push that out to next season.
Yeah, I think they're going to... Well, it's hard to know. Because they, in the books, she didn't go straight to the Eyrie. She went to the Fingers first.
Right.
And, that's where she dyed her hair, too, is in the Fingers, I believe, before she ever got to the
Right,
Eyrie.
she dyes it black, right?
Or dark brown or something.
Right.
But she's concerned about when she runs out, what's she going to do then. Because she only has so much dye. And her red roots come through pretty quickly because she's supposed to be, shockingly auburn. And so they already cut that out, which will speed up things. But also then they don't have to go build a bunch of sets and crap that they don't need.
Right.
And will never use again, which makes a lot of sense. So I'm not sure. You know, they can stretch it out with, you know, Lysa kind of being a complete bitch and Robin being a brat and that kind of thing, because they did have quite a bit of that in the books, but that could be boring too.
The other major development that happens is that Stannis commits to the wall.
Yes.
Which is I didn't want to say it during the cast, but a big part of the reason why it would have been so great to have Carl have a beef with the way that the Night's Watch is set up to fail is because Stannis realizes that and decides to be kingly and go and be in charge of the wall. So a king would be responsible for these men.
Basically, he's doing what Dany just did in this episode, and he's like, I'm just going to rule.
Stannis has a Dany moment.
But it's Melisandre that makes him see that. And she goes, instead of, you know, trying to prove that you're the king, just start being the fucking king.
Just act like the king. Just do king things.
And the deal with that was that ravens were sent to, because the Night's Watch doesn't take sides in the battles of kings and all that crap.
Right, sure.
You know, they just serve the realm. And, you know, so when Stannis shows up on their doorstep saying, I'm the king, you know, that's not their beef whether he is or isn't. But he brings
an army.
He brought an army to help them.
Right.
And they sent, you know, a raven a long time ago to King's Landing, and they're like, fuck them over there. We don't give a damn.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and basically Stannis is the only one that steps forward to help.
Right. And it's such a great turnaround for Stannis because he's such a cold character. Now he's a cold, crazy character. That to have him do this honorable and correct thing, and we know he's always very correct.
Right.
Right. I'm really looking forward to it. I think that part of the story comes to life.
Right.
When Stannis makes this commitment.
Right.
And I was kind of hoping for a little more foreshadowing out of the Jon.
And we see more of Melisandre's prophecies and how she sometimes incorrectly interprets them.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And I just finished a chapter where she's telling Jon Snow about that. It's like the prophecies are always correct, but I'm an imperfect human. I sometimes misinterpret them. And then he says something, well, I don't know about this or that. And then she says, you know nothing, Jon Snow. And it's like what cold went down my spine.
Right.
You know.
Right.
Another redhead, you know, not know who knows what's going to happen. So.
I did have one other thing I could kind of just throw out there for bookies. There's been a lot more talk lately about the theory, which I kind of I do subscribe to, that Jon Stark is really a product of Rhaegar Targaryen and Lyanna Stark.
Yeah, I think there's...
So you'll see a lot of R plus L equals J. That's what they're talking about.
Right.
And the reason for that is when Robert and Ned and those guys stormed the Tower of Joy to get Lyanna back. Mm-hmm. Lyanna was supposed to be like on her deathbed with blood,
having been raped, supposedly, or
given birth is
giving
what,
birth,
you know.
Giving birth, yeah.
And the last thing she says is promising Ned to keep her secret.
Right.
And so we think that's why Ned dishonored himself by lying and saying that it was his bastard to protect it because Robert would
have him killed. Yeah.
Robert would have had the baby killed because of his craziness about Lyanna. Sure. You know, because it was Lyanna's child with Rhaegar.
Right.
So there's been a lot of talk about that lately, and
I thought it was a given.
Kind of point.
It's not a.
Bookies, it's a given. More of a given.
It would if it's not true. There's a lot of explaining to do. So much foundation has been laid for this conclusion that if it's not true, it's going to have to be something much more clever that we can't see coming.
But I think,
it has not been stated in the books. It's never been.
I think true unsullied watchers of the show though wouldn't really
be like,
glean that.
No, I think the unsullied watchers of the show will have it because it'll all be about Ned Stark, and what they'll do is they'll go back and they'll bring Sean Bean.
Well, I'm saying at this point in time.
Oh, they have no clue.
Pure TV people wouldn't have a clue.
No, absolutely
unless
not.
they'd spoil themselves.
There's no clues on the TV show. You have to. In the book, you have to get the backstories. Yeah.
Right.
But I think they can establish it real well because the one clue they have is that Ned was very, evasive about who Jon's mother is.
Oh, sorry, I just remembered my point. Thank goodness.
Sure.
So the whole point was that Ned. I guess Robert wasn't there because Ned and Howland Reed were supposed to be the only two people that were still living after the Battle of the Tower of Joy.
Uh-huh.
And so a lot of people say that Howland Reed is the only person that holds the secret as to what really happened there and about John and John's paternity and that kind of thing. But why can't it be through Green Dreams?
Well, and why can't, and if Melisandre detects King's blood in him?
Yeah. And why hasn't
they're
she?
hanging out, so.
But I mean, Jojen and or Bran, once he gets his full abilities, should be able to go back and relive those moments and know exactly what happened.
Yeah, maybe they'd have to think to do it, right? So, but I'd be surprised if it doesn't end up being a reveal,
right?
You know, at some point. The question is, how will it get revealed? To me, that's the major question. And my shot right now is that Melisandre is going to figure it out.
Okay, so at this point in time, the dragon has 3 heads. What's everybody's thought on that one or prediction on that, if you have one?
I thought that was a given too. I mean,
there's a lot of back and forth of people thinking different things.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
John, Dany, and somebody else.
Like a lot of people think it's Tyrion. I think Tyrion's going to be the ones that trains them or something. I think he's going to come up with the knowledge.
Sam might have the knowledge, too.
Yeah, between Sam and Tyrion.
Yeah, that's a brain trust. Could be Tyrion.
And then, of course, that's another prediction that they think that Tyrion is really half Targaryen.
Right.
Right. So if the thing is, if the dragon has 3 heads, it has to all be Targaryens. If Tyrion is half Targaryen and Jon is half Targaryen and Dany is Targaryen, that's 3 Targaryens.
But there's another Targaryen.
So
there's one more.
Who's the
so when Elia was killed by the mountain, he also killed her 2 children, including her infant that he bashed its head against the wall. But Varys switched babies. So it was a peasant baby that got bashed.
So there's some Targaryen on the loose.
There's a Targaryen on the loose with with dyed blue hair. With dyed blue hair. And he's going to be making his way towards Dany at some point.
Okay, I wasn't familiar with that part of the story. Right.
I can't think of his name at the moment. Do you know?
No, I'm the only.
Shane? No, Shane's not a book person, so he wouldn't know, right?
No, it's just you and me here.
And God, I can't remember. But he's being taken care of by like a knight or something like that. I can't remember at the moment. Who's pretending it's Griff and young Griff are what they're being called, and young Griff is really the baby Targaryen.
Okay, so we haven't introduced any of that.
So Dany would be his aunt.
Dany would be his aunt. So we haven't introduced any of that in the show yet.
No.
And it'll be interesting if Dany finds out she has male relatives.
Right.
Right. And now Targaryens allow women to inherit. Right.
Right.
So you can just become the queen and just be the queen.
Right.
But it's not clear if there's a preference for males or not, from what I've seen. But we'll see.
She's older than him anyway.
She's older. Okay, so there you go.
Yeah.
But Sansa's older than Bran.
Yes, Sansa's older than Bran.
But Bran is the rightful heir.
True.
Because the northern. Yeah. Okay, well.
That's it then.
We'll see. We'll just have to see what happens. All right, everybody. Thanks for sticking around for spoilers.
Later.
Later.